welcome everyone, and I hope that you can get interested in what I'm trying to say here. So the idea was to show you that since the first satellite was launched into space, which was in 1957, Sputnik 1, in reality, we really didn't know what was going to happen in one of the biggest adventure of our times, of humanity, which is space exploration. In reality, space utilization and exploration have been changing a lot the society we know, probably in a way that we could even think about in the past. And in reality, there are a lot of things that we do during our own day-by-day life where we use satellites every minute, every second. And probably, I don't know if most of you know, but every time you want to go from point A to point B, you use several constellations of satellites, the global navigation satellite systems. And we have 4 of them. I mean, here in the United States, you have GPS. But then in Europe, you have Galileo. And then in China, you have Beidou. And in Russia Federation, you have GLONASS. And when you put all them together, you really do something extremely important, which is international cooperation in really having more precise data, because then you have tens of satellites that you can use at the same time, so you have more precision, and therefore you can have applications and services everywhere in the world, even in countries which have no idea what space is. So we can really help a lot, I don't know, in agriculture, in urban management, in understanding how to position a renewable energy generation plant. You can really do a lot of things with space. But in particular, space is extremely important when we talk about disaster management in all their phases, from early warning, through the management of the disaster itself, down to the emergency response phase. And you can imagine, the more we are able to get data and knowledge on how to extract features from important images, high resolution that we can collect all over the world of the impacted area, then we can help humanitarian aid, we can help in the recovery phase, we can work with the civil protection entities, we can work with civil society in order really to manage in the best possible way the first recovery phase. And we at the Office for Outer Space Affairs, since 2006, we have a program which is called UN Spider, and it's a program through which we provide data and space-based data and services to all the 193 member states of the United Nations in order to help them with these images to manage the disaster cycle. And since this is quite a specific, let's say, kind of talk where I'm extremely interested in showing some good results, let me take the example of the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is a country which we've been working a lot with. They have a huge program in order to support the civil protection entity in supporting the population of the country. We have been going there several times, training them, training their teams, in order to get the maximum in terms of technologies, and information that they can extract from high-resolution images that at the beginning we were providing free of charge, but then they put in place a very good system to acquire this information. And so with these images, they can really manage very well all the disasters that unfortunately they are dealing with. That's a region quite affected, up to the point that they became so good in this kind of activities that they can also help the other countries around the region. So in particular Haiti, which is very close and not at the same level of development. This is just an example, just one country among the 193 we are dealing with, where you see how important is the relationship between the country and the United Nations, in particular the Office for Outer Space Affairs. So what we do really is to strive every second to bring the benefits of space to humankind. And what we do is really to try to be a sort of a broker. We connect the dots. So we put all the stakeholders together, governments, space agencies, civil society, so academia and NGOs, and also the private sector. Because in the private sector, we have, I mean, in space field, in certain topics, the space sector is really, the private sector is really extremely developed. And therefore, we can get several information, extremely important for us to provide the best to improve the quality of life of all the citizens. Well, extremely important. If you look at the essential climate variables, 54, which are the variables that we have to monitor and measure in order to really monitor what is happening in terms of changing climate. More than half of these essential climate variables can only be monitored through satellites, which means that without satellites, we are not going to have the right information to really tackle the big challenge of the impact of climate change. And this is extremely important for us, because for us, the link between climate change and disaster is so evident in all our activities day by day, because we see that every single moment, every single day, we have happening all over the world, we have events, extreme events, more and more extreme, more and more diversified, that we are not even able to understand how they could develop. And therefore, with this ability to monitor the essential climate variables, we can really support the climate action in a very precise manner. In other words, we cannot do anything in climate change, in trying to do concrete actions to support this topic, this challenge. We cannot do anything without space. So the main message is we live with space, and what we do is really to try to help planet Earth through space. So it's not only sending astronauts exploring the solar system, which is extremely important, because we have to understand the positioning of the Earth into our solar system. Extremely important is that with space, we help the Earth. So that's the message. Look at us as the ones who can really bring on one side humanity beyond the limits of Earth, but at the same time, we can really protect and help our planet for the future. Thank you very much.